welcome back to Tall Boy Radio, episode 100. Who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thought it? We're actually arrived at the destination we never thought we would realise. So yeah, we're pretty chuffed to be here. But like we said last week, just going to be a brief one. It's Christmas time. This is dropping around about December the 27th, so we want to keep it brief. Don't want to take up too much time when you're going to be spending it with your family. So without further ado, let's head to the Tall Boy Radio family and find out what it is the guys are drinking this week.
Evening guys. Pretty stoked to get to 100. In a way, didn't think we'd sort of get there, but absolutely brilliant that we did. And if I'm honest, there was only ever really going to be one drink that I was going to drink on the 100th episode. I'd drink it probably most episodes, but that's a different matter. And that is Leth, which is 6.6% of absolute pure beautiness, if that's even a word. So looking forward to this, guys, and see where we go.
Winner chicken dinner. Andy?
Howdy. I've tucked into one of my Christmas presents off my mum. I thought, sorry, it's Christmas, I'll jump in. It's a beer called Numbnuts. I don't know if that's going to show. But I got it with, she bought me cheese and salami pack, so I had a couple of beers in it, and I like the sound of this one. It's a ruby ale 4.8. It's quite nice and dark. Don't know if that's showing or not.
Oh yeah, you can see the colour in that.
It's not bad.
You're not worried she's trying to tell you something, dude?
What, cheese and salami?
I'm just wondering why. Wondering why you're lowering yourself to drinking beer less than 5%. I mean, what's going on, dude?
You'll find out later for the next episode why.
Okay, fair enough.
Don't tell anyone. Well, I'm drinking, obviously, we always say different beer every single episode. So I thought about, should I go back and drink the same beer that I drank in episode 1? But nah, I couldn't do it. So I've had
Shipyard Eye. Was it the Shipyard Eye?
No, it's the other one you were about. It was the Sainsbury's IPA.
Well,
So
right, okay.
Yeah, Sainsbury's brand IPA. And the reason I drank that one, I actually didn't have any beer in to drink that night, believe it or not. That was the same night that a young man by the name of, and his name's just gone, Luke Jordan, who knocked on my door.
Cat?
The cat. So he was trapped inside the engine of my car.
Was that episode 1?
Yeah, I ran you out to go pick up your car. And he dropped off some beers to say thank you. And then I sat down and recorded episode 1 that night.
No way. Wow. Okay.
Bizarre. Well, anyway, I enjoy a beer from Titanic as well. It's Christmas time, and they have brought back their Christmas offering, which is a beer called Wreckage, and it is 7.2% and describes itself as Christmas cake in a glass. And I've got to tell you, that's pretty apt. Other than it's not got a Santa sat on top of it and a snowman and maybe a candle. I don't know, that wouldn't go amiss. But absolute gem of a beer. Wreckage probably quite appropriate at 7.2 because a few of these on Christmas Day you can enjoy a nap probably right through to Boxing Day. So before we fire, we just wanted to sit down, share a few of our episodes, a few favourite guests and a few anecdotes with you rather than playing about little snippets. We're just going to talk about them, talk a little bit about what we've got in mind for 2022 and beyond. So before we fire into that, has anybody got anything they want to shout out about or say or get off their chest before we fire in?
Not massively. I mean, there are a few people who I say shout out, and we might get to this, but basically a big shout out to all the guests that we've had on, and we're going to talk, I assume, in a bit more detail about perhaps favourite guests and this, that, and the other, but just overall on the whole, I don't know how many guests we've had or how many episodes we've had with guests on, but yeah, we give up our time because we love meeting on a Tuesday and having a couple of beers and chatting, but big shout out to the guests because it's their time as well, and particularly those guys over the pond in the States and stuff that have joined us, Scottish alchemists, people that perhaps have busy schedules and stuff, but just generally the guests that have given up their time to sort of join us and stuff. So yeah, just a general shout out to them.
Absolutely. 24 guests we've had on in 100 episodes. So that equates to roughly 1 in every 4 episodes. Although some of those guests have been on quite a few times. Dave's been on a few times. Dave Borthwick from Double Trouble's been on a few times. Ken was on a load of episodes, and hopefully we'll get him back on soon. We sent the message out. So Ken, if you're listening to this, give us a shout, dude. And if you're not listening to this, we'll tell you what, you're not welcome. Don't bother.
And that's how we treat all our guests.
That's how we treat you all. Once you're gone, you're forgotten.
That's it. Absolutely. They say never outside, out of mind. Well, you say that.
I'm only joking. Andy, you do anything else you want to shout out before we get fired into
it? Nothing different from what you guys already said. It's been a roller coaster of a ride to get to this far, and I'm still alive.
That's it.
I'm still drinking.
Well, that's it, and that's why we're still alive. That's not necessarily a fact. Don't look into that, fact checkers. But so yeah, like I said though, like 100 episodes, it did feel like something. I don't know. It's because we didn't really think about it when we started off on this journey. I never thought we'd get to 100 episodes. I certainly never felt it'd be dropping at Christmas time. It's absolutely perfect timing for us, especially as we can just keep it to a nice half hour. But yeah, that's a gem in it. So who wants to go first? Tell us about one of your favourite episodes that we've recorded out of the last 100.
I'll go first. There's a couple, and when I spoke to sort of Amy, my daughter, she mentioned, "Oh, you've got to speak about the serial killer one because she loves serial killers," and that was a particularly favourite of mine. I did quite enjoy learning about sort of. It sounds a bit morbid, really, the serial killer, but that was I really enjoyed that episode, and that went back to the days when we would perhaps pick a topic and we would all sort of, I say research, we'd all talk about a particular interest within that topic. So that was one. I think it sounds really harsh, and I don't mean it to sound the way that it is, but the disability darts one was epic just because it was our first real outside broadcast. It was our first away from sitting behind the screens, either me recording at Adams or, during these times now recording from home. So the disability darts one was a fun. It was a personal favourite, man. And I know when Andy wasn't there, and had he been there, it would have been absolutely even more epic and mega than it was. But yeah, that for me, I think just because it made us realise actually what we could do and where we could take the show. Do you know what I mean? Is actually we can do it, and perhaps moving on to what our thoughts are for 2022. That's something for me that I would really wouldn't mind doing more of. So it's hard to pick out one episode or one experience or one guest, but the World Disability Darts as a weekend, as a trip, as an outside broadcast was fantastic. Snowy was very forthright in his opinions, and we've sort of we've discussed this. But again, it's challenged us to think about a sport that we enjoy. So yeah, for me, that was a standout for me, really.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, dude. What about yourself, Andy? You got any favourites that really stand out in your mind?
I listed 4, but I think one of them I found funny was the "Come at Me, Bro." Number 7. It's a good idea.
Fighting random people.
We did market that when we did that episode. It's going to be the big game for Christmas 2021. But typically we sat on our laurels and done absolutely nothing with it.
Yeah, Top Trumps does "Come at Me, Bro" or whatever.
Actually, no, that's not true because I emailed, didn't I?
You did, yeah.
I emailed the makers of Top Trumps.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, no.
I wonder why that is.
I don't know. It's like people don't want to talk about fighting.
The "Come at Me, Bro" was sort of good. It was proper lighthearted. We had a real good laugh and stuff. Well, actually, yeah, they might win in a fight, but what would happen if you threw them a scimitar? Would they still win? It's just like just random stuff picking cards out for. So that was one of your weird and wacky sort of ideas, which is brilliant.
I'm working on that idea. I'm going to put some effort in. We've got some time off now. After next week, we're recording another episode next week, but we got some time off. I'm going to put some solid effort into this over the Christmas period to help with the family and the kids. I'm going to put my effort where it should be. Producing a quality you get board game, Christmas 2022.
A few beers, sit in the tub.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, best make it waterproof. Yeah,
just to try and think of all of the celebs and people that you'd you know, that you'd want to be involved. But no, that to be fair, Andy, that's a decent shout. That was quite a cool episode. I think. I mean, I've listed another couple, and you mentioned Ken, and the paranormal one. I think was the couple. I say the couple that we sort of mentioned, but the main paranormal one was sort of interesting, spooky, eerie, just in as much as actually you listen to somebody speak from very personal experience and something that they absolutely 100% genuinely believe in, and actually that might be something that you don't believe in, and just from their point of view sort of thing. So that was a not quite hairs on the back of your neck. I mean, obviously I spoke about sort of my experience, very much believing that I'd seen Mum, and then to hear Ken say that he very much felt as though he'd seen his old man, you know, that was pretty cool, just to think actually somebody else has experienced that and spoke about that. So that was a bit of a sort of wow moment for me. That stood out. What about yourself then, Adam? I know that we've spoken about it. What about? Sorry, Andy, what were you going to
say? Just on that one, I did make a note of one thing from, I think it was that episode. There's a Pickford and Dixon, parapsychologists, investigators, / consultants.
That's it. That's it. That was our official title.
/ consultants.
Well, to be honest, the funny thing is about that episode as well, the parapsychology one, which was episode 25. It was after that episode that my cousin Bo contacted me and told me that story for the first time, that he then recounted on the podcast. It reminded him of that, and he's like, he'd never shared it up to me. You know, we've been chatting since 2012, 2013, and then he shared that story, and that blew my mind. And it was great then that triggered that memory in himself, and he got in touch and shared it, and then obviously then came on the podcast and shared it, which was fantastic. But interestingly enough, though, when you ask what are my favorite episodes, you guys have listed the 3 favorite episodes that I had recorded. Come at me, bro. I love that one. It was so random. It was so stupid and so completely pointless that it felt so perfectly into Tallboy Radio's remit that it was like it was designed purposely for us. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one, and it is something I'm going to do a little bit of work on. I think I like it. The other episode, like episode 25, parapsychology, or the parapsychologists, investigators / consultants. And that is genuinely what we had put on business cards and put up all around Allsage. And it is one of the most bizarre threats I've ever had in my life that followed it. That when me and Gaz turned back up at my mum's house and told her exactly what she'd done, her exact words to me, you go round, you take every single one of them down, or the pair of your dicks are going to be in a pot on the mantelpiece. And it's like, that's just a strange threat.
It was words that I never thought I'd hear Liz utter, if I am honest. But you know, and it certainly made me think.
Yeah, that's an image. That's an image, isn't it?
Just to say, we about turned and hot tailed it out, and then basically retrace our steps all the way around. You know, but you know.
We got you was serious, and a few folks out there are looking at your wilted Advent candles right now that they burnt down to the nub. You've got a lovely image.
Speak for yourself, dude. But no, I mean, the parapsychology. I just think because it's one of those things, and we've done a couple of really heavy episodes, and we've done a couple of really light-hearted episodes and so we've tried to cover myriad topics, and particularly when we did the, you know, actually we'll pick a topic and we'll each talk about that. We tried to be quite varied, you know, go from bucket list stuff. You know, I love talking to people about the bucket list stuff. I love talking to people about the magic numbers. You know, if your magic numbers came in, what would you do? And I know Andy said he'd basically, before he bought anything for Amy, what was he, buy another dog or whatever it was? He's like, you could get her anything. You could get her anything in the world. What would you get? I'll get her a dog. It's like, okay.
I stand by that.
I did, yeah. Listen, hey, we're not surprised.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. So you know, so things, you know, people's aspirations, thoughts, dreams. I love exploring just to see whether or not they're similar to what I would do, and so you know, they were fantastic episodes. But we tried to cover just random shit, I suppose, don't we? You know, that was it. It's just try and talk about just random stuff that we want to talk about, and I like the turn that it's made in the last however many episodes it is, where we haven't necessarily got a topic and we can just left turn and we just go at it, and and if you want to talk about parapsychology, great, we'll talk about it. If we don't, we don't. It's not forced, it's not contrived in any way. It certainly isn't scripted. I don't think it's ever been scripted as such, but there were times when it felt a little bit forced, and I love where we are now.
The beer episodes, I think they felt forced, didn't they?
Yeah, and
we tried
and again,
something, it didn't work, and we were brave enough to recognise it and walk away from it. That's the way I see that.
And actually, we were brave enough to try it in the first place, and thought, we tried to market ourselves a bit of a beer podcast, and we had beer on our logo, and so we tried it. And we're brave enough to try it, but then, as you said, we were then brave enough to turn away from it, because actually people like, it isn't you guys, it's not what you guys do. And it's funny because I was talking to Vron, and she's a massive fan of the show, and little Daz, who's his most listened to and most popular podcast for 2021 was Tall Boy. So thanks, Daz. And they were saying they love the concept of three guys sitting in a bar, putting a microphone in front of them and actually recording that conversation. And that's exactly what we said we wanted, wasn't it? So I'm still working on trying to get them guys on. They're definitely going to 2022. They're definitely going to come on to our podcast.
Save that for your list of aspirations.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah.
The final episode that I did enjoy, you've already mentioned it, and it's for exactly the same reasons. And apologies, Andy, because you were in it. It was the TBR at the darts. But Andy, you started off by saying that you had 4 on your list, and you only got to name 1. Go on, tell us the other 3.
Secret, innit? No. I wrote down the first one that we all did.
Yeah.
Just because when you listen back to it, it just seems like it's different people.
Yeah. It is. We've developed. We've grown. Probably grown backwards. Yeah. But, we've grown.
My beard's grown.
Your beard has grown, dude. Yeah.
Quite proud of that.
We do get messages about Andy's beard. A lot of people comment on its quality.
Well, it's the focal point of the TBR artwork, isn't it? That's what people look at. They scroll down. It's like, who's that? Who's that hairy fellow in the middle? All right, let's look for him.
It's the most interesting part about me as well.
So your dick on the mantelpiece would look insignificant, would
it? You're 6 of the hair. Because of the beard.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I wonder where we were going there for a minute.
Very Christmas jokes.
Any other if you were for Santa sat, here we go. Christmas innuendo.
The other episodes I listed was just the Doomsayers one, where we were talking about how we'd prepare for the end of whatever, and also life hacks as well. So that was pretty interesting. And I think we got some feedback, didn't we, from that one, where people suggested. I'm sure that some people suggested some of their stuff, but
we did actually, if I remember correctly. I can't remember any of them, but yeah, there was a few. But interesting enough, a couple of the ones you mentioned there. So Gaz's Lucky Numbers, that is our 5th most popular episode of all time. Our 4th most popular episode is Beans Just Guinness World Records. Number 1 is The Beginning, which is the first episode we recorded. Probably not that unusual, because if you're going to dip in and listen, that might be where you'd start. Then next, it was Dreams. So when we did the Dreams, so not the second one, we kept the journals. Yeah, Dreams was interesting. And again, very, very personal stuff coming from Ken again.
Yeah.
And then the most popular episode, and he'll love me for saying it, is Mr. Mark Weaver's episode, Cheshire for Life, when he came on and talked about how he wanted to annex Cheshire.
That was funny, actually, because that was funny, because I remember thinking, and it put me in the same mindset, and you're going to think this is a bit of a weird analogy, when I first watched the first episode of The Office, and I thought, is this real? Or is it just taking the piss? And when I was talking to Weave about the Cheshire for Life, I'm thinking, is this real? And they genuinely think this, or is he just taking the piss? Because he spoke so passionately about doing it. He got a manifest and he got everything. I was like, no, I think he genuinely does think this is real. Do you know what I mean?
That's it. I mean, he says it's tongue in cheek, and then he takes it very seriously. I've known him for years. He doesn't get that excited about anything.
Brexit was possible, so why not Cheshire?
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, that's it. People would vote for it. People on the outside of Cheshire probably vote
I'd
for it.
forgotten about that. Was that the one that he came on and spoke about when they went up and did like the Cheshire Fringe, the Edinburgh Fringe as well, and he was dressed up in like a cow outfit or whatever it was, and yeah. So, and actually, when you think back, you think, yeah, that was actually quite a good episode. To be fair,
it was. It was obviously one of my better ones that people enjoyed.
The only other one specifically, and then I'm going to talk about just a general one. The only one specifically is the conspiracy theories one, where we sort of thought about, what were our thoughts on various conspiracy theories, and I did moon landings and and dark side of the moon and that sort of stuff, and we started to think about, you did the was it the guy that what's the name of the guy? Come on, came out of the airplane with the money. And was that the conspiracy one?
No, that was a different episode. That was Unsolved Crimes. And funnily enough, Pub Time Podcast, if you're listening now, well, it's probably 4 weeks ago, they're doing one on DB Cooper. I tell you what, really good listen.
Because I remember thinking when I picked it up that Pub Time were doing that, I was like, oh, that's one that I'd mentioned. Obviously, you then tweeted like favorite unsolved crime and stuff. I thought that was the conspiracy one that you spoke about, but that was quite good. I did quite enjoy talking about that. And then the only thing for me is generally a bit that we have in everyone is I love the 5-10 minutes you talk about the NFL, and I love talking about the Bears because they're my team. So that for me is, and we try and keep it maybe to 5 or 10 minutes. We don't go on too long, but for me, that's like a staple. We've got to talk about that, obviously during the season and stuff. So yeah, for me, they were my favourites.
Just going on that one as well, it was good results all around, wasn't it?
Well, it was. If people are listening now, you say this week, Andy, but it's about 4 weeks ago now when people are listening. And this is the trouble because I'm listening back to that current episode and we're taking the piss out of the Detroit Lions, saying how consistent they are, that they keep losing. And that's the 1 week that you got to win. When it drops, it's the 1 week you got to win and you've been inconsistent. It's typical.
But it wasn't, didn't you send something over on our sort of WhatsApp group sort of saying, great result for all of our teams, we all lost or something or other. And then I was like, hold on, didn't the Lions win or whatever it was? I can't remember what order it was.
I said, great that all our teams won this week. Oh, my mistake. And I had a picture of crying bear.
Oh, yeah, that was it. Yeah, that was it. And I was like, yeah, okay, Bears lost again.
What was the soccer result as well?
Well,
soccer.
You see, I wasn't going to mention that because by the time this drops, it'll be sort of 3 weeks old.
Forgotten about.
But the mighty Everton absolutely destroyed the woeful Arsenal in a stunning 2-1 victory.
It was. In all fairness, though, it's one of them. I know. I saw that we were half time. It was 1-0 to the Arsenal. Odegaard has scored a really, really decent goal. But
good goal, yeah.
I had read that it was an undeserved lead. So I don't know. I haven't seen much of the game, but I gather you were.
To be fair, it was Arsenal probably had more possession, and I'm not going to go over this too much. But Arsenal had probably more possession. We probably did a little bit more with the possession that we had, and we played, I suppose, as well as we could have done with the players that we had, whereas you guys, with the players that you had, probably played under your level. And I know Arteta came afterwards and was proper not happy. If you see his post-match, he's like, it's not good enough, it's not what we expect, we have to get better, blah, blah, blah.
Well, I'll stick with more because he played for Everton as well. So quickly, let's move on, because we want to keep this short tonight.
Yeah.
Let's go. Who's been some of your favourite guests then?
Me personally, I've enjoyed everyone. I know it's quite a cheesy thing to say, but like the Pub Time guys, Bo, the podcast, Tiddy and Shiner, Dave for Devil's Advocates and stuff. Dave from Double Trouble. It's always good to hear like different people from different walks of life and hear like what they do, and how they live their life and stuff. And that's my 2 cents.
I'm the same as Andy, and it does sound cheesy. You know what? I loved speaking to Bo, just because I know there was that sort of personal bit for both of you guys, and actually to see both of you guys, and I think I get this right in as much as that was the first time that effectively you'd actually sort of spoken to each other as such. So so to see both of you guys effectively bond over that sort of story and talk about that story from each of your points of view was quite humbling in a way. So Beau, as an individual, I love the Toddcast episode because that was just sort of proper over the top, proper, just brilliant. Loved it. But as Andy mentioned, Tiddy and Shiner, the pub time guys, the Scottish Alchemists, I love. Do you know what I mean? That episode that we did, that was a great episode. So all of them, we've got the little chef, we've got Sid, all the people that we've had on, Dave from Double Trouble, we bonded really well with them. And when we went up to the Disability Darts, we had a great night with them, didn't we, on that, that Friday night, whatever. It was brilliant, So.
Yeah, it was. I mean, bear in mind, that's the first time we met those guys in person. It was great just to go, we got invited back to Scott's house, play a bit of darts, and we were there till, I don't know whatever time it was in the morning, but I know Scott had a couple of texts off his wife asking us to keep the noise down outside. But yeah, it was just great to see those guys, and that's what I love about doing this podcast, is opening up those conversations and those relationships, like you guys say, with those people. Because Dave and Scott, God bless them, they got involved with our Guinness World Record, but from doing the podcast, we've got to know a little bit about them, a little bit about what they stand for, and a little bit about what they do. Scottish Alchemist, I love that episode. I love the fact that we sent a gin up to them, they sent a gin down to us, and just getting the reaction from seeing the old banana dolphin, I thought that was fun. Tiddy and Shiner, that was the first podcast I ever really listened to that got me into podcasts. So to have them on our show, I really enjoyed that. And obviously, like I say, the pub time guys, they're brilliant, and what they do, they're taking it really seriously. They've got ideas of how they want to progress podcasting for themselves with the Poorhouse. We never got to talk about that. We'll talk about it next time they're on. Don't you worry about that. Yeah. And then, obviously, like you say, the episode with Beau. That for me was probably my favourite guest. I have to say that because he's my cousin. But second of all, it was just fantastic. Like you say, I'd never had a conversation with the guy, and to hear the story told from his perspective, because I only really know it from mine, it was, I really enjoyed it. And that's one of the episodes that we've done recently that we've had the most feedback about, to say how much we enjoyed it. And actually, it's still getting loads of listens now. It's really, it's not going to be very long. I think that one, before that one starts hitting our top 5, it's doing really, really well. Right then, so... Anyone, any more before we talk about what we're looking forward to in 2022?
No, all done.
I did have the banana dolphin on my list as well.
Did you?
Just a picture of it.
It's a thing of beauty. It would look a lot better on a mantelpiece than the other pieces that we talked about. Let me tell you that.
So go on then, Ad. I'll turn tables on you then. Go on. So looking forward to 2022 then, because you host the majority of the podcast, and you don't get to sort of go first as such quite a lot. So I'll turn the tables on you. What are the things that you're most looking forward to in 2022 then?
Well, 2022, I can tell you guys what we've got in the can and what we're hoping to achieve, and what we've got planned so far already. So we had a guy get in contact from us from somewhere in Michigan in the United States, and he was going to come on. He's hopefully going to be the first episode that we record when we come back after our little break. You won't know there's a break because the episodes have been pre-recorded. But he's going to talk about lupus and how it affects men, and it's a serious problem, and he wants to get it out there. And God bless him, contacted us and said, "Can I come on your podcast and talk about it?" And that's the first time that a guest has requested to come on rather than us invite someone on. So I'm excited about that. Pub time guys, definitely want to get them back on. We've talked about it. We've talked about going on their podcast as well, and would love to do that, because that's one thing we've never done, is be guests on another podcast, but I'll get to that a little bit later. So we never got to talk about the Poorhouse, which is their idea of how it's going to help podcasters grow when we're all in a similar sort of ilk like we are. Been chatting with a chap by the name of Stephen Martinez, who is Mega Man from the Mega Man podcast. Now, he's based in LA, so trying to work out a time is quite difficult because there is an 8-hour gap. But he seems really, really keen to come on and talk on our podcast and tell us a little bit about himself and what he does. Because I tell you what, this guy works hard at podcasting. You follow him on Instagram, dude. Check it out. He is really, really keen, really aggressive in putting himself out there. Tiddy and Shiner, they're going to come on our show, hopefully again. Hopefully we're going to get them on again before the Super Bowl, talk about a little bit of American football and probably a little bit more nonsense this time. Toddcast, we're going to get them on again next year. We talk about the Reload Rub. We're going to do tasting of the Magnum. And yeah, hopefully appear on a few other podcasts as well. Like say, Tin and Shiner said, they'd love to have us on there. And then I've been chatting to some guys recently called the Dudes in Long Flannel Shirts. They got a podcast going, and I said, listen, they were looking for guests. I said, if you want another podcast on, we'd love to come on. We'll wear them flannels, so we'll get the Dixon flannels out. Don't you worry. And they said, yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it next year. So those are some of the things I'm looking forward to next year. But one final one before I hand over to you guys. Doing that darts one, getting out and about and doing something. When we went back, and I'd like to cross over with that paranormal, we said about visiting those places, specifically the old hall in Sandbach. I'd like to get that done. I'd like to get that checked off. And if that's the episode that we get Ken back on for, then yeah, definitely, because I think he's going to want to be there for that.
Yeah, no, I think if somebody said to me, what's the one thing that you would want to do? I would say a couple more outside broadcasts as such. Get out there a little bit more, and then you've just mentioned it. Really, it's actually to be guests on somebody else's podcast. That would be pretty cool, and to actually be sort of invited onto their podcast, because we've invited quite a few people onto ours. So it's great that. And you've just mentioned it, Ad. Tinny Shine have said we're going to try and look at something for theirs. So, just try and get to get to experience a couple of different people's podcasts from a guest point of view would be great.
It would.
But the outside bit, that Disability Darts World Cup weekend definitely wetted the whistle in terms of sort of getting out and trying to get out and about and doing it. So yeah, for me, they're the two things really.
Definitely. Andy?
Well, yeah, I mean, I couldn't say anything else other than that, other than like we have a list of about 80 places we said we're going to visit.
Yeah. 2022 is going to be a busy year.
So yeah, all that crap. Unless the lockdown has anything to say about it as well.
Don't even joke about that, dude. I
thought we'd get through a whole episode without mentioning it then, but he's only going to spoil it by mentioning
I know.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh darn you, Andy.
You can't not, though, because it's there, and it's what's held us back for the last 2 years. And there's loads of podcasts that have fallen by the wayside because they set out with great intentions of going and doing all this stuff, but actually, we're sticking at it and we're plucking away. And if we're going to wrap it up, it's a Christmas episode, isn't it? So what should we be doing at Christmas? We should be opening presents. So I have got you guys, as you would have expected, a little present. I got you guys a beer. The last time we did, was it 52 episodes, a year's worth. We had the Tall Boy Radio Stone Gold Stunner beer made. I promise you I'm not done that again, because frankly that beer didn't taste great. But we've got these bottle bags here. I don't know if you can read that on the camera there. Tall Boy Radio, 100 episodes.
Wow,
Doubles
look at
up.
that.
Yeah, doubles up obviously as a Christmas present as well, guys. So it's like those awkward poor little bastards who have their birthdays at Christmas. Yeah, you're only getting one gift. So although we're celebrating 100 episodes, Duval are celebrating 150 years. So there's a good old large bottle of Duval here sitting there waiting for you with a Christmas. So
superb.
Merry Christmas from me to you guys. Merry Christmas. All our listeners. But who wants to go first and sign us out?
You know what, I've got a bit emotional there, and I appreciate that, fella. It is brilliant. I love meeting up with you guys on a Tuesday and just chatting shit, having a beer. Because of various world issues and stuff, we don't get to meet up in person perhaps as much as we would like to, and I'm sure that moving forward we'd love to meet up in person a little bit more. But I love doing what we do. I never for 1 minute thought when I started and I'd asked me and Andy to join him that, we'd get effectively to 100 and we'd still be doing it down the line. I love it. It's brilliant. Can't really say much more than that. I'll still keep enjoying my beers on a Tuesday, still keep enjoying chatting shit with you guys. So, Gaz out.
Winner. Totally agree, Andy.
Let me swipe my tears. A big bottle of Duval.
Forget all that nonsense about Happy Christmas. What was your values bothered about?
Yeah, when am I picking it up?
I'm seeing you, Sally, dude. It's okay.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I'm not. I wouldn't do this on my own. And then obviously being invited to do it, and it's been good. I've enjoyed it. I'm not a chatty person, but yeah, it's been a good year. Here's to next year and yo ho ho and all that. I couldn't find a Neil Morrissey quote that was good enough for Christmas, so.
Yeah. So Stephen Patrick Morrissey's not said an awful lot about it. So from me, we're going to sign off episode 100 and say here's to the last 100. Here's to the next 100 and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds more. I don't know how far we can go. I don't know how far we can take this, but guess what? We're going to take it as far as we can. We're going to keep doing random stuff. We're going to keep doing the weird stuff like going out and talking to random people in bars like we did in TBR at the darts. We're going to do a little bit more of that as soon as that gas says that we can get out there and just mingle with people, because that's what life is all about. Never forget that, folks. So for me, take care and thank you for listening. And I'll finish by quoting Morrissey by saying, I love you, I love you, I love you.